A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
Hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out. Just have another book review. Still have a couple of the ones I need to finish for 2025, but I finished another book for 2026. So just might as well keep on top of the book reviews that I have for this year, just like I'm trying to keep on top of the book journal entries. So speaking of book journal entry, let's go with that first, I think. So I did finish the book journal entry for A.A. Milne's Once on a Time, an English fairy tale for adults. So I was able to make use of some of my bunny medieval washi tape, as well as some of my more fanciful, like medieval Arthurian washi tape on the edges. Then this is one of the alternate covers for Once on a Time, as is this one. I kind of wish that one had still been available, because this is supposed to be him with the 7 League boots. If you're familiar with fairy tales, you know what those are, or at least I've seen them in Norwegian and Swedish fairy tales. I wouldn't be surprised if they crossed over into other fairy tales of other nationalities. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw them in Germany or some of these other places, because sometimes certain ideas just seem to transfer as, people traveled from place to place. But it has been a hallmark that I've seen in quite a few Swedish and Norwegian fairy tales, particularly when a young man is trying to win himself a princess. But this kind of ended up being, well, first of all, this is one of A.A. Milne's lesser known works. It is available in the public domain, which is how I read it this time around. So I got it through Project Gutenberg. So this is for the Exploring the Public Domain readathon that I am doing with Gavin of Genre Books and with my mom, who is Marlisha Meanderings. It's been running for January and February. I'm not sure if I have to check with my mom. I'm pretty sure we're extending it to March, but I'm not sure. Once I know, I'll let everybody else know. I've really been enjoying this. I've read several books so far. Most of them, I guess it's only been a couple books so far. The other two have been Anna Catherine Green's, but this one is an A.A. Milne. And I went ahead and got the physical book because I enjoyed it so much, and I'm going to be putting it with my other fairy tales because it kind of fits in there. So it's described as a sophisticated and satirical fairy tale, written partly for his wife. Who served as a partial inspiration for the intriguing character of Countess Belvane. Not sure if that's quite a compliment to his wife. It's very witty. It's very much of a love letter to fairy tales. It plays with the tropes of fairy tales. I noticed a lot of the ones for Norwegian and Swedish, mostly because those are the ones that I've been reading most of late. Didn't notice as many of the Russian ones. I haven't really been diving into the Germanic ones as much, but that's right now what I'm getting a lot of the feeling of, are the Norwegian and Swedish fairy tales. I'll be interested as I further read different nations' fairy tales, if next time I read Once on a Time, if I'll pick up more of different cultures' fairy tale tropes that I've missed this time around. But he had a couple of quotes in here, even in his introduction. This was an introduction that he wrote in 1920-something or 1930-something. But the book was originally written in 1915 and published in 1917. He has a quote in here, though, where he's musing in the introduction as to whether this is a book for children or a book for adults. So he goes on, is like, well, what do you mean by for children? You know, if you're talking about for a 12-year-old versus, you know, a 6-year-old, or if you're talking about, you know, what do you mean for adults? You know, this age person versus that age person. And he says, but I'm very sure of this, that no one can write a book which children will like unless he write it for himself first, which I truly love, because I think that it's right. I think that if you dumb down too much, it's, you know, kids are smart, you know, even if something might not be to their maturity level yet. I don't think if you need to enjoy what you're writing, make it something worthwhile. If you're kind of just dashing something off, I think it shows. And there's another quote in here. But as you see, I'm still finding it difficult to explain just what sort of book it is. Perhaps no explanation is necessary. Read in it what you like. Read to whomever you like. Be of what age you like. It can only fall into one of two classes. Either you will enjoy it or you won't. It is that sort of book. Which is really this book in a nutshell. It's just a fun book. I think you can still enjoy it even if you aren't someone who reads a lot in the way of fairy tales and folklore. But I think you'll have an even richer of experience if you do read fairy tales and folklore. I noticed some of the narrative voice that I sometimes see in some of the Norwegian and Swedish folklore, where sometimes it's a little bit of a wry humor, an undercurrent of the narrative voice. A.A. Milne's humor is, it's fun. I love it. I love the way he gently mocks his characters while still keeping within the fairy tale folklore world. Still, like I say, if you know certain aspects, you'll have been like, oh, okay, yeah, there's the cloak that causes invisibility. Oh, there's the 7 league boots. Oh, there's someone who's going to turn someone into XYZ. Oh, there's a reference to Midas and the Golden Touch. All sorts of things in here. Oh, there's a king who goes under disguise. Just, I truly enjoyed this. Sorry, it took me 2 days to read this, only because I had other stuff going on the second day that I was reading it, because I started the day before my birthday for A.A. Milne's birthday, because his birthday, he would have been 144 were he still alive, on the 18th. So I started on the 18th, but then I took a slight break to read a little bit of Poe for the 19th, plus, you know, had other things going on the 19th as well, because it was my birthday. But then after I read some Poe, I went right back into reading this. I look forward to rereading this in the future, and I think I'll enjoy it even more because it'll be in the physical form. Now, they claim that this is annotated. This isn't really annotated. They have a little bit in the back to provide some historical context, but what's interesting is they actually miss quite a bit in historical context, insofar as I would have preferred if, when they provided a timeline and historical context, if they really just focused on this particular story and the historical context versus trying to summarize the breadth of A.A. Milne's career. Because then it's more glaring when they don't even mention the Red House mystery. But they mention the timeline. Agatha Christie publishing, which one did they mention that she published? Murder at the Vicarage. really some of the things they choose for his timeline are just really odd. Like, well, why did you choose that? Because they mention like random authors publishing things, but I have no idea what this has to do giving historical context to this story. A lot of people published at that time. And if you're going to mention Agatha Christie, why aren't you mentioning the Red House mystery? Or why aren't you mentioning when he joined when he helped found the Detection Club? It was just a kind of odd way of putting together the timeline. I understand why you put in Beatrix Potter. Like, okay, yes, when she put out Peter Rabbit, you can even argue that could have had an influence on him. Now, I haven't read his biography yet. I don't know how much of an influence she might have had on him and Winnie the Pooh. But I can see where you can argue why that might have been important for this timeline. But if you don't mention his involvement with the Detection Club, I don't see the point of mentioning randomly out of nowhere Agatha Christie in the timeline. So there are annotations in here toward the end. Not really much to write home about, especially since they get it wrong that they call this in the back a fairy tale for children, which is not what Project Gutenberg calls it. Or even A.A. Milne himself, A.A. Milne, determined that it was a fairy tale for adults. Even though there's nothing in here that children can't appreciate, it's just, I think that there's a certain wry humor in this that adults will get more out of. But you could argue that some fairy tales themselves, particularly some of the ones I've read for Swedish and for Norwegian, can have some of the same flavor. But yes, thoroughly enjoyed this. I wouldn't mind reading more of A.A. Milne's lesser-known works. I know he has some short story collections. I want to say that he has some essays. I don't know if he has another full-length work like this that's not Winnie the Pooh. But if he does, I'd definitely be interested in checking it out. I'm really glad that I read this one, and I do highly recommend it. It's a nice, relaxing, fun read. It's not meant to be anything deep. Like, don't expect, anything that has, like, great in-depth character arcs or anything like that. This is a fairy tale and folklore. It's going to have about the depth of character arcs, maybe a little bit deeper than you do see in normal fairy tales and folklore, because that's what he's writing here. It's just a little bit of a twist on it. So, yes, thoroughly enjoyed this. Do check this out. Do check out A.A. Milne's other works as well as, Winnie the Pooh. I've read thus far The Red House Mystery, which is his sole full-length mystery novel, although he also did write a couple, at least, short stories that were which were mysteries. And I've read a couple of those through the British Library Crime Classics short story collections. So we have Martin Edwards to thank for bringing some of those works of A.A. Milne back into the light, because quite a few of Golden Age mystery authors, some of his works have been lost to time, or lost just kind of lost to time, kind of just forgotten. And I wish that some of these other works, some of the authors who were known specifically for their children's works, or some of these other works, some of their lesser known works, I wish that they would come to the forefront. So we have A.A. Milne with his fantasy here, and then his mysteries. But you also can look at someone like Beatrix Potter with some for scientific writing. Now, I don't know if she did much outside of some of her scientific writing. I know that she presented, or was supposed to present, something before the British, it was the group of British science people. I have a book on them. I can't remember the name right now, but they didn't let her present herself because she was a woman. During that era, that was just not the done thing. She ended up not presenting it, but during a different time period, we might not have gotten Beatrix Potter, the children's artist and story writer. We might have gotten Beatrix Potter, the scientist. But I mean, there are these authors that we feel like we know so well from childhood or from other works. Those are their iconic works. But hiding under the surface are some quite good works that are getting forgotten and really deserve to be better known. Anyway, that's all I had to say about this. Do check out other works of A.A. Milne's. At least, I would say this one, The Red House Mystery. And like I said, check out Project Gutenberg. He has short stories on there as well. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and I will see you the next time. God bless. Bye-bye.
Books keep coming home with me. Piles so tall, they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.